So the biggest question mark of what's going to happen this week against Arizona is who is the starting quarterback? Now, one thing that I say is this week we get to find out if Kyle Shanahan is Kyle Shanahan or if Kyle Shanahan is Matt Nagy. But Matt Nagy already came out and said Justin Fields is the starter. All right? So
yes, he did.
Everything had been pointing towards Trey's going to be the starter, forced to be the starter. Jimmy went out in the press conference right after the game saying, I hope I only missed 2 to 4 weeks. So we thought, okay, Trey Lance, no debate.
Right.
Not even a question mark. Now, all of a sudden, there's a big question mark. And Jimmy's saying, hey, it's more of a strain and maybe I can play and all this kind of stuff. Jack Hammer just tweeted that initially after, when they said who was going to be at the press conference, no quarterbacks were listed. Then all of a sudden, Jimmy came up.
Jimmy.
So all signs are pointing that Jimmy's going to be the starter against Arizona, at least from what I'm seeing and piecing together what I think Kyle Shanahan is and the stubbornness that he brings to the way that he style of coaching and decision-making that he makes. Now, Rob, who do you believe should be the starter week 5 against a very, very good, the only undefeated team, which is the Arizona Cardinals?
To me, there's no question of who should start this game, and it's Trey Lance by a mile. And it's not to say that Jimmy should no longer be the starter of this team and that it's time to make the transition. I'm looking at this as a one-game season and what's the best opportunity for the 49ers to have both short-term and long-term success. And what I will say here is if Kyle Shanahan goes against what I'm advising him to do right now, which is, Kyle, start Trey Lance. Start him.
Tell him, Rob.
Start him.
He's listening.
If Kyle decides to do the opposite and says, no, Rob, I don't trust your judgment here. I'm going out on my own. I'm going with my gut, and I'm going to start a less than 100% Jimmy G on Sunday. Let me just say this, Sunil. He better be freaking right. Because I am not on this. Yeah, there's uproar amongst fans, but Kyle's job is secure at this point. Let's not mess around with that. Maybe by the end of the year, John Lynch could be on the hot seat. But I believe firmly that there are not many things Kyle could do to put himself on the hot seat this year. I think it could happen sooner than people would admit, but not this year. However, if you start a less than 100% Jimmy, and he then loses that game, that might be the only scenario in which I believe Kyle Shanahan could find himself on the hot seat this year. Because then the wheels come off as to, well, now you're into the bye and Jimmy didn't win the game and you're 2-3 and you haven't done anything to prepare your rookie quarterback. And now you're not really a playoff contending team unless things go really right for you. But you've probably gotten Jimmy dinged up again from playing him too soon. So now he's not 100% for 4 more weeks. Like, it just, things go sideways if you do this. And it seems so clear cut to me that the easy answer is start Trey. It allows you a cushion. It allows you to have some growing pains. Fans are going to be patient. This is a rookie quarterback. He's going to flash greatness, and he's going to look like a rookie. And that's what we will expect going into it. And it'll be like a miracle play if he ends up winning it. Kyle will be the hero. The other way around is just fraught with peril in my mind.
Harold Marilla also agrees with you. I would like to see Trey Lance play the entire game. Look.
Harold knows what's up.
There's one game and one game only where this offense put up a lot of points and looked good. That game was week 1 against Detroit.
Who was that against?
Detroit.
Detroit?
But let's even put that further, Rob, because I like the point that you are trying to make with your sarcasm. But let us talk about what week 1 is about. The whole offseason, you know who you're playing week 1.
Yeah.
That is the most prepared a team can be.
That's a fact.
Is week 1, right? So clearly, with the most preparation that you can have and the healthiest you will ever be, right, Rob? Because There's no injuries. Everybody's kind of healthy at that point. You're resting people, all that kind of stuff. So the healthiest that you could be, the 49ers did put up 34 points on offense.
Right.
Every single other game, the only time they were scoring, with a few exceptions here and there, was in the last 4 minutes of the first half and the last 4 minutes of the second half. Now against Green Bay, Jimmy Garoppolo came out and had a really nice drive in the beginning of the first half and scored a touchdown then. In the game against Seattle, he had a very nice first drive and scored a touchdown then. But other than those two drives, outside of the Detroit game, we are only scoring in the last 2 to 4 minutes of each half. Now, what is special about the last 2 to 4 minutes of each half, Rob? What is the defense usually doing?
Typically, the defense is in a little bit of a softer zone.
Yes. So, obviously, it is easier to look good when, one, the defense is playing off, and two, everything is speeding up so they can't make their necessary changes. The defense is usually more tired during those drives than usual. So for them to look good during that time, to me, is more of situational versus that this offense actually looks good. So this offense, like I have said, is terrible. So how can we change that? What is the only thing we can do to change? There's not a lot of personnel changes that could be made at any other grouping of this team. There is only one group where we can make a change that can actually infuse something into the game that we haven't seen. We haven't seen Trey Lance fully prepare to be the starter and get a chance to fully be the starter for the whole game. That is the only thing that we haven't seen and the only thing that could possibly make a difference. Now, will it? I don't know. I hope so. I want to think so, but let us see. And if he flames out, he flames out. But let us see, because we've seen Jimmy G practice as the whole starter, and we've seen that this offense has been underperforming. I laid out the numbers earlier. What we haven't seen is Trey Lance be preparing as the starter the whole week, be the starter without any competition, and see what he could do to make this offense look good. Now, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I'm with you 100% on that, and would go even further to say you want to allow Jimmy to get fully healthy, because if you plan to put him back in at all, let's just avoid that BS that we saw last year where it was, he's not really ready, but we're going to throw him in. Oh, look at that. He tweaked it again. Oh, let's give him a couple more weeks and he's not really ready. Throw him in against Seattle. Oh, look at that. He's done for the year. So let's just get out of that nonsense, that stupid carousel. Let's just get off the ride and say, no, this is Trey right now. And it's going to be Trey going into the bye, and it's going to be Trey coming out of the bye. So it gives Jimmy time to heal if you do want to go back to him. But in the meantime, it gives you enough time to see whether you actually do want to go back to him, because it'd be 3 solid weeks of Trey preparing as the starter. 2 games where you have game planned that Trey is going to be behind the helm of this offense to truly see what he can do. To your point, we have seen all the other formations within this offense. What we haven't truly seen is Trey given a chance to spark this thing. Even if he doesn't spark these wins, and even if we continue to struggle, no real harm done, because a non-healthy Jimmy probably isn't going to get the job done either. And it gives Trey valuable time, setting him up for success if you do go back to Jimmy. I'm not advocating for that, but if you do, Trey has gotten weeks of practice reps. He's gotten a couple games under his belt. And even if he doesn't start the remainder of the year, it helps him for next season when you know he's going to be the starter.
Look, and we just saw what experience does. Justin Fields started against Cleveland and looked terrible. He looked like he can't play the position because of how many times he was sacked. And look, Arizona is a really, really good team. That's a tough outing for anybody at quarterback to play against that Arizona Cardinal defense. So could Trey Lance look really, really bad? Absolutely. But
Sure.
how did Justin Fields look the next game?
Pretty electric.
And you saw a first round draft pick quarterback and the talent that he had, and he led them to a victory. I don't know if this team is a playoff team with Jimmy. I don't know if this is a playoff team with Trey. I'm a little bit more down on the 49ers than I think most. But what I do know is Trey Lance is the future. Jimmy is injured. Kyle, this is your chance to be like, we're going to give him this week off, the bye week off. In week 3, it was always my plan for Jimmy to come back. If Trey's a starter and looks terrible, you can always say that was always the plan, right?
Yeah.
Or if he's electric and they get a win because of Trey, now you could be like, well, he's going to be our starter. He won the position. It's a win-win.
Yeah, it's a frustrating scenario that the 49ers seem to have thrust themselves into with this quarterback situation. It could have been a pretty straightforward quarterback situation. If you were investing that much in the future, most teams would have moved on from Jimmy Garoppolo. That would have changed this scenario. You would have brought in someone who would have been a suitable bridge quarterback or a passable second string quarterback, and it would make this transition a lot easier. But instead, the 49ers were unwilling to commit to either strategy and rode right down the middle. And someone put this saying out on one of Grant's shows, but the idea of having a foot on 2 different boats, right? And riding that out. And the 2 boats then diverge, and now you're there doing the splits over open water. And that's where the 49ers are. 1 foot in each boat. The boats are headed in different directions. They don't know which one they want to be on. And pretty soon Kyle Shanahan's going to fall into the drink because that's just how it works. He has set himself up for a losing scenario. We are potentially in a scenario where we're jeopardizing both of these quarterbacks. We've already done everything we can to ruin Jimmy Garoppolo's confidence and his je ne sais quoi, the ability to actually grab hold of this 49ers offense, because we've taken out all of the rug from underneath him and just flirted with every single quarterback that's out there in the offseason and left Jimmy as this, battered second favorite on the team, and yet can't commit to Trey, who we spent all these assets for. So it to me is the most frustrating part of this season is our seeming inability to properly handle this scenario. And I get the gamesmanship, but at some point you want to exert confidence. You want to exude confidence in one of these 2 choices. And at this point, it doesn't feel like Kyle has confidence in either one.
Yeah, it's tough. And I think I agree with you in that saying that was out there. And I think Kyle's gotten like the golden ticket right now, the ability to start Trey with already a caveat in there that he could start Jimmy without anybody thinking that this wasn't just the plan overall, right? He has a chance to see if Drake could show out. And then if he shows out, he's a starter going forward. Or if he doesn't, hey, Jimmy has an injury. We wanted to rest him through the bye week, get him healthy so that the second half of the season, he's fully healthy. Seems like a win-win, but hey, what do we know? We just talk about this stuff. We don't actually make these decisions.
That's right.